Hey, what's up, everybody? You know what time it is. Your boy Jeffrey L. Boney, host of Real Talk Junkies. You're tuned in to another hot edition of Real Talk Junkies. As always, I encourage each and every one of you to share the link with all of your friends, all of your family, all your foes, all your enemies. It doesn't matter. Everybody needs to check out today's podcast. I always want to encourage you to check out forwardtimes.com for the latest news. And of course, you can engage with me, yours truly, at jeffreylboney.com. And don't forget to pick up the new book, Don't Argue With Me, a no-nonsense approach to the issues in the Black community. You know, the pandemic changed a lot of things in this country. One of the things that it did change, though, in a positive way, was the number of individuals that were starting small businesses. Matter of fact, in 2021, 5.4 million people applied to actually start small business here in the United States. That's like a 53% increase over the previous year. And when you think about some of the things that make this country great, small businesses is the backbone of this country. It's the backbone of society. And we have two individuals here today to talk about how small business can impact not only their lives, but also the lives of everybody who would hire them and procure their services. Bring up today Miss Michelle Gomez and Mr. Daniel Sines. Let's welcome to Real Talk, y'all. Let's welcome to Real Talk Junkies, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being on Real Talk Junkies. All right, so you guys, I know, y'all will be participating in an upcoming government procurement forum called Level Up, Pivot, Soar. That's going to be put on. I know it's going to be hosted in the city of Missouri City, Texas. I think I know a little bit something about Missouri City, Texas. I serve as the mayor pro tem there, but I'm happy to see that it's hosted in my backyard of Missouri City, Texas. And you guys will be talking about small business. And I know specifically you all will be doing particular workshops. So Michelle, let's start with you. What workshop will you be doing?
Yes, so I am hosting the marketing workshop called the Marketing Corner, and I will talk with entrepreneurs on how they can differentiate between branding and marketing, and then they're going to walk away with the full-fledged or the framework of a marketing plan.
All right, so for you to be able to successfully talk to them about that, that means that you actually have a business of your own, right?
Yes.
All right, what's your business?
Overall, I've been doing marketing for 15 years. In 2014, I started my company, Line 25 Consulting, helping entrepreneurs with content and social media marketing strategies. Definitely evolved over the years. So still work with small business owners, and then I do diversity marketing consulting for corporations.
And the name of your company again is what?
Line 25.
Line 25. Now you got to give me the background. How did you come up with Line 25? Where did that come from?
You know what? I spent a lot of time trying to come up with a name, and everyone mispronounces my last name. So I didn't think that was going to work. And I was literally watching Law and Order SVU, jumped out of bed. It came up with Line 25 Consulting, taking you from segments to dimensions. And basically with small business owners, especially a couple of years ago, if you think back 10 years ago, social media wasn't what it was today. Marketing was always the last thing, right? They'll do all of these things, have the business plan, no marketing plan, no marketing budget. And if you connect with me, I'm going to connect the dots. Those dots that are sporadic, those segments, connect with me. I'm going to take you to the next dimension.
Look at you. All right, I hear you. Now, you said they mispronounced your name, so it seems pretty simple. Gomez.
Yeah, once I tell you my name.
Well, how do you spell it versus how you say it?
So it's spelled Ngome.
Oh,
right?
I can see it then. Okay,
So,
Ngome.
Yeah, so growing up.
Ngome.
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 So my parents are from Cameroon, West Africa. But, growing up, it was, you see it, honor roll, graduation.
Yeah.
It's just, last name was just butchered.
It's all good. It's all good.
But, if you're an athlete, all these athletes, they get those names right.
Right. Well, that's because they get paid to get those names right. Hello. All right. Daniel.
Yes, sir.
You also are a small business owner. You'll be doing a workshop of your own. First of all, let's talk about the workshop that you'll be doing.
So I'm an IT consultant.
Okay.
I've been doing that for 20 plus years. So the workshop is going to be highlighting IT and some of the understandings of small business. We're going to be highlighting, I think, 3 main topics. Management, their role in IT services. 3 tools that can help a small to mid-sized business grow as needed. And then lastly, the big topic everybody's talking about is cybersecurity. So that one I'll be very interested in speaking to the crowd about.
Okay, and what's the name of your business?
So we are Nieto Technology Partners.
Oh, you got to say it a little slow.
Yeah.
What is
Nieto?
Nieto?
Nieto. Nieto.
Nieto. What does Nieto stand for?
So Nieto stands for the owner's last name, Luis Nieto.
Okay.
The founder. And like a lot of small businesses, they started off with names.
Okay.
With their family names. So the founder was Luis Nieto, so that's what it's named after.
Okay, got you. All right. So, you brought up something just a second ago, and you just brought up what your workshop is. These are two areas that are integral and extremely essential to small businesses. And they're the least talked about, or have been the least talked about. You talked about cybersecurity. You talked about making sure that your technology is up to date and that you're up to date with the latest technology. And it ties together. I mean, even with marketing and trying to get your business known and whatnot, you got to have both and, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know literally in 2020, my website was attacked, and I was fighting all day to get it back up. And I don't know if I lost business or not, right? Because those calls didn't come through, definitely lost traffic or whatever. But from there, I had to start educating myself. Okay, what is cybersecurity? Because I think lots of times we hear it and we think of it as a high level thing. But it's like, no, if you have a website or if you're just putting a password into anything, you need to know at least the basics of what cybersecurity is. And speak to that.
You're absolutely right. And when it comes to even marketing and websites, because we're an IT consulting firm, everybody lumps any type of technology into IT. And that makes it an extremely large industry to cover. Mm-hmm. So we've had to hire a lot of experts who have been working in those industries and those fields just to be able to help our clients. So much so we even have clients, hey, can you make us a website, right? Because it's technology based. Mm-hmm. But as it's played with cybersecurity, right now it's very prevalent throughout all the organizations, from phishing emails. In other words, just someone saying, hey, you remember me? We met last week. If you can send me this information, I can send you the information you need to do business with us. And we see people being caught left and right on sharing information that they're not supposed to share, or just not having basic solutions in place to help them. One of the scariest cyber attacks right now is ransomware. Ransomware has been going around and it's taken out large organizations. The cities have been afraid of it getting control of their power grid and so on. And
now, Daniel, you're talking about some things that maybe some of our listeners have never heard before. So when you say ransomware, what does that mean? Because they may have been a victim of it, or to avoid being a victim of it. What is that?
So ransomware basically is a virus that attacks the system and locks it down with its own password. And then what ends up happening is once that system's locked down, you'll actually be contacted by the person who put it into your system. And they say, hey, you pay me X amount of money, typically $100,000, and I'll give you the key.
100,000.
Oh, we've seen 100,000, 300,000. It's crazy. And they'll pay the money, they'll get the key, and it'll unlock the systems, but it hasn't gotten rid of the ransomware. So at any given time, they can lock it up again if they decide to.
So wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah.
They pay the money.
They pay the money.
So people just literally just come off $100,000, $300,000 to get this virtual key.
Yes.
To unlock it with the potential of it being locked again, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. We worked with an engineering firm, I kid you not. They locked up their system and it cost them $350,000 for the key. And it cost them another $175,000 for us to come back and clean up all of their systems to make sure that ransom key would not be able to be used again on them.
Wow.
So now you're closer to $500,000. That company operated at a $20 million a month organization. So they couldn't be down. They needed their systems to be running.
So I mean, this covered by insurance, or I mean, how do you?
Great question. That's a fantastic question. It is covered by insurance, but now insurance companies are coming back to the organizations and saying, what is your cybersecurity plan and policy? And a lot of people don't have that. And because they don't, the insurance companies are not covering.
They're denying the claims because they didn't do anything preventatively.
Correct. And I can tell you, the scariest thing is getting your systems locked up. But had they had a proper backup solution, let's just say a 1 week backup solution, we could have told them, ignore the ransomware, don't pay it. We'll back up your systems to one week ago or 1 month ago. It still would have cost them maybe $125,000 for the cleanup and everything, but they would have saved themselves that $350,000 that they had.
So I want to come back to the IT portion, but coming back to the marketing component, what are some of the biggest mistakes or I guess challenges, snafus that many of these entrepreneurs are making out here that you'll be talking about, I guess, I'm sure, tackling in this workshop?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we've been spoiled by social media because it's a free platform for the most part. And because of that, we kind of lose sight on the significance of creating an actual marketing plan, identifying a strategy. And it's important for entrepreneurs to, one, create a plan, understand what are those tactics and tools that they're going to do within the plan, and then possibly create a marketing campaign to execute the plan. So I think lots of times those words get lost in vocabulary and, okay, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? So I want to take my time and explain that to entrepreneurs. But once again, you have to have the plan because it's your roadmap on how you're going to do everything else, even if it's for 3 months or 12 months. What is the plan? Let's identify some goals, some objectives in order for you to have a successful marketing plan for however long.
So, you guys are in this entrepreneurial world, which is not easy. A lot of people started businesses, like I talked about in the beginning, during the pandemic. 5.4 million folks applied to start a business, which is phenomenal when you think about it. In hindsight, pre-pandemic levels was 53% less. But there's some challenges that businesses have also faced during this pandemic. And in listening to both of you talk, you mentioned the P word, which is extremely important, plan. You said an IT plan is needed or cybersecurity plan. And then you said a marketing plan. And whenever, sometimes in the past, people, and I'm a former banker, full disclosure, and I always emphasize the importance of having a business plan. But back then, many people put together a business plan for the sake of getting a loan or just, to try to comply with some sort of request. Either to get a loan, if they were going for a contract or something like that, they had to have a business plan to show. But they rarely actually had a plan to actually execute. They didn't follow the plan. And so I think it's important, and I'm very excited to hear you talk about having a plan in the area of marketing, in the area of IT, cybersecurity plan and whatnot, because a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. We're robbing Peter to pay Paul. We just want to pay our bills and whatnot and just kind of be okay, versus actually having a long-term plan and a vision to grow their business. How does, and either of you can jump in here, how does marketing and how does IT, having a plan, how does that help you grow your business? I mean, what would you say?
That's exactly the strategies that start to come into play when you start getting to that glass ceiling and you're getting ready to break through it. Do I have a plan for this next level of growth? Because IT can be seen as an expense, it's something that people don't like to try and pay attention to. Look, if you started a business to bake pies, you're not there to do the IT infrastructure or the IT work. You're just not. You're there to bake pies because that's your passion, that's what you love. So being able to get that concept understood, that this is still something that has to exist in your organization. You do need IT. And the most crucial, important aspect of IT is your data. That's all IT is managing data, managing communication. So being able to help organizations understand that, understand what their data is, what their data means. Right now, I think there's a big push on data management. You have a lot of nonprofits, you have a lot of businesses going, we want more reports. We want to see how we're making the money, how our services are actually being provided. so that way they can earn more money or go after more money. A lot of nonprofits, the grantees want to be able to say, hey, did the money do what it was supposed to do? Mm-hmm. So these reports of that data is extremely important. So for us, it's about helping the small business or the mid-sized business understand that data and data management is crucial for their company.
Michelle, same question.
Yeah, I think when you create a plan, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish? What is the end goal? Start with that. And I think with marketing, because social media tends to be sexy, we get excited and we forego the plan, right? But we have to revisit that on a regular basis, maybe weekly, monthly, whatever the case may be. And one thing I usually bring up, especially around this time of the year, maybe before you create your plan, maybe you should do an audit, Maybe you should evaluate some of the mishaps that you experienced this year, for the first 3 quarters. What were some mishaps? Why did we miss the goal, right? Let's kind of really evaluate ourselves, your team, your department, whatever the case may be, before you write your marketing plan.
Mm-hmm. Now I want to have us talk to 2 sets of businesses here, because you have some who don't have a plan, never thought about a plan. They're just trying to make ends meet. They're trying to survive. They're kind of drowning maybe, or maybe they're just barely, they're dog paddling, as a business. What message would you say to them? I mean, like, as far as like the first thing that they need to do from a marketing perspective and from an IT perspective, like what's the number one thing? Some of them may not be at a place where they can do a cybersecurity plan. Maybe they don't operate in such a way that's important to their business right now, but maybe they're trying to scale up so they can get to that place. Like, so what we...
Yeah, and you said it, scale up. What do you want to grow into, right? So what's the vision? Whether it's, once again, 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, what is the vision? What is the goal? What do you want to accomplish? And I think the hardest thing about a plan, we think it's overwhelming. We're thinking it has to be a 40-page document. And no, maybe it's only 4 pages, right? It just depends on how detailed you want to be. But you have to put something on paper, right? Or on Google Docs. You have to put something down. And once again, it's the roadmap so you can see where you're going. I live in Houston. Houston's huge. I know how to get home, but I still turn on my GPS, right? Because maybe an accident will pop up. Maybe a police is on the highway. Now the app is notifying me.
And you're speeding. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm following. Yeah, I'm tracking.
Right? I still utilize my GPS, as a precautionary method, right?
Mm-hmm. So, well, I mean, but, I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm busy, Michelle.
We are, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm busy. I don't have time to write a 4-page or 1-page or no page plan.
And you're going to be extra busy when you have a mishap, right? Mm-hmm. When you have to double down because you're trying to correct something.
Okay.
So, or I guess the best way I can put it is, a lot of us have hustle. We have the hustle mentality. We know how to make money, right? But do we really want to grow? Mm. Do we really want to be a legitimate business, right? Because you mentioned the bank. Okay, so if you want to get a loan, now do you want to spend 10, 20 hours trying to create a plan? Or do you want to spend 1 to 2 hours brushing up on your plan? Mm. Right, let me just touch base. Let me update these metrics, these numbers, and then go from there. Every Monday for 1 hour, I sit down and I update my QuickBooks. I hate accounting, bookkeeping, whatever. But that's what I do, because when it's time for me to see my CPA, here you go. Mm-hmm. Let me just, these documents are already saved. Let me just email them to you, right? Because it's about efficiency. Mm-hmm. So we got to spend that upfront time early on. That way we can be rewarded in the future on the back end.
Dang, I'm tired, man. I'm busy. I don't got the money. I mean, come
First
on.
off, I'm going to watch your show and I'm going to see one of the business owners that you've been talking to.
Okay.
So that way I can find somebody I can trust, right?
Okay.
A lot of times it is about trust. It is about working with somebody that either through a referral or just good reviews, that this organization is there to help. When it comes to IT and a small business, my first question is, what is the most important data that you have? And most people will point to a PC, that thing. Right now, okay, great. If that thing goes out, how long can you be running without that device? Mm-hmm. And they may say a day, they may say a week, and so on. Then we get to add a value to that. Okay, your day costs you $1,000 a day. So if that device goes down, I can set something up to be up and running within 30 minutes. Would you like that? Well, yeah, that'll save me $1,000. Okay, awesome. It'll cost $2,500 to implement, but you know that it will be up in 30 minutes. So being able to give those options to the small business, just so that way they know what it means to be without their device.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know how to, because we've never done it before, we don't know how to put a value or to determine whether it is that of value to pay $2,500 or whatever amount. We may look at it and be like, all you're doing is doing a website, or all you're doing is social media, or all you're doing is X, Y, Z, and they don't know how to actually appreciate, I guess, the value that's being offered. It's like if you go to the store and say, okay, how much is this bottle of water? If they say, oh, this bottle of water is $20, you're going to be like, you can have it, right? Because we've been conditioned by way of experience mostly that this is the cost of this is probably going to be roughly around $1 or $2 or whatever. But if you say something exorbitant like $20, then it's like, oh, I got sticker shock. So how do you get past, as an entrepreneur, the fact that you need these things? You may not know that you need them, but after having been explained that this is essential for your business to grow, that it pays to invest like that.
In the IT world, we can scale. A lot of it is about scalability. I can quote you the high end and have the Ferrari cost, right? But do you really need that Ferrari? Or do you just need that Camry to get you from point A to point B? Now, that Camry I can soup up along the way so you can pick up speed, or you grow to the point where you can buy that Ferrari. But the idea is, do you have enough to get from point A to point B? And if so, then let's start doing some add-ons through the year so that $2,500 you don't have to spend all up front. You can spend it at $50 increments a month. But at least you know that you're building into it. And IT does provide for that scalability. Now with cloud services, you don't have to necessarily have a server in your location. It's allowed for that. You pay for it differently, but at least you have options to be able to scale and descale even. Some small businesses, hey, they weathered the storm, but they had to do a lot of cuts. And it hurt a lot of people. But knowing that you can scale back and say, okay, hey, Daniel, we're paying for $1,000 for all these services, and now I have half the crew. Okay, well, let's bring it back. Let's bring it down to $500. So that way we can help manage your budget. A lot of times it is about understanding your budget and your cost and then working with that for the client.
So you say that one day you hopped out of your bed and said line 25 was going to be the business. But let's talk about, because I like for the RTJs to better understand the people that are talking with them. And so let's talk about, how you decided to start your business. Not the name, but why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I actually had a previous marketing business. I stopped that, worked in finance for a couple of years, and I was still getting calls for marketing work. And I noticed...
You gotta back up. I need all of the juice, the tea. I need all of it. So you started as an entrepreneur with your own marketing business, and then you stopped. Yeah. You gotta give me all that. You left corporate America.
I was so green.
So you left, you were working in corporate? Or
no, this was in my 20s.
Okay.
So I didn't know anything.
All right.
I was just freelancing.
Were you in school at the time? Or?
I was at U of H.
Okay.
And basically I had a friend who worked for a record label.
Okay.
And this was in 2004, so Super Bowl was here. And he's like, you want to do some promotion work for the label? I'm like, yeah, cool. Did that, didn't think nothing of it. I'm just trying to go to the parties for free. Like,
right.
I'm okay. At that age, you're not hurting for money.
Right.
Obviously, this is pre-inflation, but but I did good work, and he called me back. And other people that I met, I was networking and I didn't know it, were calling me for work, and then I was just busy, and so I did that in 2004 up until like 2007, 2008.
Now, did you have a name for your business at this time?
I did, but we're not going to share that.
I kind of want to know. Don't y'all want to know?
Oh, no.
I need to know.
Yeah, like we all need to know,
We are not going to share that.
Okay, all right. Well,
But,
it seemed like, was it ratchet?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, moving on.
But no, those were good times, but I didn't know anything.
Okay.
Like you said, paddling for water.
Yeah.
That was me, and I was learning about a business cycle. Fourth quarter and first quarter was slow, and I'm like, I need money, right? And not having the cash flow to weather those storms.
So wait a minute, hold on. You went from not hurting for money back then to now needing money. So so I guess at this time your quality of living changed. You started living differently.
No, not even. No, I just didn't know. I was just young. I was 21, 22, if that. Just green. And of course the internet was around, but the internet wasn't the internet that we know now. Like, the information we have access to wasn't there in 2004, 2005. At least not for me, not for my awareness. But I'll say this, like, I was literally getting clients off of MySpace. Right.
Y'all do remember
right.
MySpace, right?
Yeah.
That's
like, I built my first website off of WordPress, 2006, self-taught.
Wow, WordPress.
Self-taught WordPress. First it was the WordPress blog where you had to scroll down. So I was a self-taught marketer for the longest, and writer, journalist, PR, interviewing people, just freelancing, and I was figuring it out, which was fine. And then, little inside story, I was at the M Bar and Chameleonaire, I think he went gold or platinum for like Riding Dirty, or like he was celebrating and they were popping bottles. And I remember like looking.
It's just funny hearing her talk like this.
And I was like, I was just looking and I was like, man, I want to be celebrated like that. And I went back to school. I went back to school and eventually majored in finance, worked for the bank for a couple of years. But, it's just calling my name.
Yeah.
It was just calling my name. And so now Facebook is here, right? And I'm like, something's missing. So in 2013, I knew advertising was going to start. Like, this company has to make money. Because if you go back, so one thing I learned in finance, you look at historical data. You look at trends, historical trends. So everything repeats itself. So when I look back on Facebook 2012, 2013, they're funded, but they have to make money. How are they going to make money? Okay, well, how were websites making money? They had banner ads. So I knew advertising was going to start eventually. I just didn't know how. So when I started my company, Line 25, I was maybe I was 30. I don't know. But I was like, okay, I want to work with baby boomers that have been in business for at least 7 years.
So you had a plan.
I had a plan.
All right.
I've narrowed down my target audience, ideal client. Baby boomers that have been in business for at least 7 years, because now they know the life cycle of their business. But here comes social media. And they're like, what is this? I don't know what to do, right? They're probably figuring out marketing, but now social media is here. And they're like, I don't want to post my food. I have a business. So I'm like, okay, well, let me come in. I can manage your social media.
So you started off managing social media, and the rest is history. Wow. So let's talk about you, Daniel. IT. I mean, come on, man. You seem like a party guy, man. You don't seem like a, plain John behind the desk working on IT stuff, man. Come on.
So, man, do you have time for this?
I do,
story?
man. I do. I want to
so
hear.
The year was 1977. No, 77 was when I was born. My story is a blessed one. It is because my parents were involved. It was full of mistakes, full of miscalculated judgment, which is just a fancy way of saying mistakes. I was supposed to be a cop, born and raised, HPD police officer. My father is a retired HPD officer. Eloy Sines, my uncle, retired helicopter HPD police officer, Robert Sines. I have some cousins that are police officers now, and a plethora of my friends are all HPD.
In relation to Gracie?
That is my mother.
Gracie Sines.
Yes,
Oh my God.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So,
that's my girl.
Yep. So there it is. My father, police officer, and my mother, a civil servant,
Right.
city councilman,
Right.
Gracie Sines.
Absolutely.
So I was born to be a cop. That's all I was going to be. And back in the 90s, to be a police officer, all you needed to be was 18 and a clean record. Well, I know at least I was 18. So right? And as luck would have it, because of mother and her counsel, 1995, the year I graduated, city council passed the 60 college credit requirement for all HPD officers. Which was very unfortunate for me because I was not a college-bound student. I'd gone to the high school for law enforcement and criminal justice, but out of 324 students, I was 323. And I was there, perfect attendance, and had a perfect D score all the way through all my classes. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that I did that to myself because it would hurt me. Ultimately, when I finally applied to college, turned 18, hey, you need your college credits? Okay, I'm going to college. I took nothing but remedial courses for my first 2 semesters. So literally a year of me just catching up to be a college student. As luck would have it, married, baby boy, divorced by the time I was 21. I was not a good candidate for an HPD officer. And I applied nonetheless, and ultimately they denied me. And by this time I was 20, and for 20 years, all I was going to be was a cop. So I really had no clue what to do next. As fate would have it, Mom was good friends with Luis Nieto. His business was growing, and she said, hey, do you have a job for my son? And he says, well, does he know how to work with computers? And Mom, can you work on computers? No, I'm not good with computers. Yes, he can work on it. So that's what I did. So in '99, do you remember Y2K?
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole scare.
Everybody, alleged scare. Yeah, I wasn't scared.
So that's when I got hired on with oil and gas. And real quickly, Lou picked me out at about $30,000 a year to them and sold me off.
You were balling out of control.
Man, I tell you what, within the first year, I was making more than what I would have been making as a police officer. And HPD called me back, said, hey, do you want to reapply? And like a jaded ex, I said, no, I don't want to. I have a Monday through Friday gig, 8 to 5. I think I'm doing okay. And I've been there for the past 20 plus years.
Oh, wow.
So worked my way through the Nieto Group and then over into oil and gas. I did oil and gas for about 15 years. I worked my way up through management. So I had a propensity for IT, but I also was able to speak the common language. So a lot of managers and upper management like talking. And because of that, I was able to get projects done and work with people. So I just steadily climbed that ladder. 2008 hit, oil and gas crashed. Me and my entire department were outsourced to the UK, out of all places, which was interesting. So lost my job. Now I have a family. Now I'm on my 3rd kid and wondering what am I going to do? So I called Lou and I said, hey, what are you doing? He's like, man, I'm building houses. I'm not even doing IT anymore. I said, well, if something comes up. And he goes, well, actually, I have a client that wanted to do some work. It's a charter school. I was like, I'll take the job. I'll take it. After about 6 years working there, I ended up becoming the CEO of Nieto Technology Partners. About 2 years after that, became CEO of Nieto Technology Partners.
Awesome, man. That is an awesome story, man. Both of you all, awesome story. I still want to know the name of that business. I think everybody wants to know the name of that business. So listen, so we have this Level Up, Pivot, Soar, conference, the government business procurement conference. Now, there's a difference, trying to do business with the government, trying to do business with private sector, public sector. Private sectors, like all totally different animals, right? And you mentioned charter school, you mentioned oil, gas, you mentioned, different types of things. So there are a lot of different moving parts when it comes to doing business in those respective spaces. So what advice would you give someone that is trying to do business with these government entities as it relates to why having a marketing plan, why having an IT plan or whatnot is important?
Yeah, I mean that's it, right? Having at least your business and your marketing plan in place, that obviously depending on the size of your company and what you want to scale to, and just be ready. Be ready now. That way you don't have to get ready, or when that time comes, you're just reviewing stuff and not creating from scratch. I think that's the biggest thing I've seen people miss out on. They just weren't ready, and now they're spending all night trying to work on an RFP from scratch versus you having some things already in place. I think at the same time, you have to understand what type of business owner are you and what kind of business do you want. And I know for me, in the beginning, everyone was like, you should grow your agency with people plus money, right? And I'm like, yeah. And then eventually I'm like, no, that's not who I am. And I had to identify my core values. And I know I'm a solopreneur that wants a solid creative team, right? Because we're in this digital media space, right? I don't want to manage 20 people. That's not my strong suit. I can manage, 3 to 5 people and still be very successful and still grow in revenue. So you have to identify who you are and what kind of business you want, and what does that look like when it comes to growth.
I love the fact that you said that you decided who your target market was going to be. You knew that at that time, at that place you were in, you knew that you wanted to focus on baby boomers who were in business at minimum 7 years, and you had a reason behind that, a why. Yeah. And I think that a lot of small businesses need to understand their why, like who their target market is, but why is that your target market? Why is this the niche market that you're going after? Why is this the service or product that you're offering? What about you, Danny?
I kind of rely on my life experiences, and it's funny that they level up, pivot, and soar. In many ways, that's what I had to do, right? Was going one direction and hit hard, and I had to pivot. I had to go another direction. But when I did, I had to learn my lesson. I had to go back and say, okay, what was it that I was not preparing myself for? And then how do I prepare myself for that next event? I teach my kids, body, soul, and mind. And you gotta exercise all 3 of those, right? My mind, that means I've got to be well read. I've got to be experienced. My body, I've got to be strong enough to help the lady carry the groceries, right, from her car, from the grocery store to her car. And the soul, you just got to love. You got to practice loving people. You got to practice that habit. So in business, you're going to hit obstacles that either you can't get through because you don't have the infrastructure to do it, or you're going to hit obstacles that just you had no clue could come around to hit you, life experiences and so on. So being able to pivot, so that way you can work through those obstacles, whether they're around them, over, or just straight through them. With IT, when it comes to that, I think now the technology is there that so long as you have a plan in place, you can really help make those pivots a lot easier to do.
A lot of times, man, we can, by going to workshops like the ones you're offering and just by listening to other people, you can try to avoid stepping on landmines that others may have already stepped on. We can learn a lot from that. What would you say the biggest landmine in your entrepreneurial and business journey has been?
I think the biggest thing I've had to learn along the way is managing cash flow, managing money, and then also not being afraid to pivot. You know, in 2019, I dropped all of my clients because I was going to change my business and bet on myself like I always do. And, you know, there was some runway. It was scary for a few months, but it paid off. And I made the most money, I guess in the past 2 years, I made the most money than I ever have, you know, compared to the previous years because of that pivot.
Well, could you explain delve a little deeper into that? You say you pivoted and you jettisoned all your clients and I guess pursued new ones. What does that mean? Like, walk us through that.
Yeah, so I was focusing on the content and social media marketing aspects, and in 2019 I started focusing on diversity marketing, right? And the genesis of that was where are all the Black marketers? So I started the African American Marketing Association, and then I was privy to conversations, and I was like, human resources and marketing need a talk. These two departments are not working together, right? So it's affecting hiring. And then we've been taught to look at DEI from an HR perspective. So I just say I look at D&I from a marketing perspective.
So for those that don't know, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. I just want to make, you know, a lot of times we throw out acronyms and stuff
you're
like
right.
that. We don't really know.
I just look at D&I from a marketing perspective. So I created a new plan, new business plan, new marketing plan, frameworks, outlines of proposals, and the pandemic hit, and I was like, oh, okay, it's real out here. But, you know, a couple of months later, the phone started to ring.
Okay, well, hold on. You know, you leaving out a whole lot of shit because you were making money with these clients. Mm-hmm. You said, I'm going to pivot.
Yeah.
You changed your whole plan. I guess my question to you is, who did you talk to about that? I mean, did you get any advice, or you just said, you know what, to hell with it, this is what I'm doing?
Oh, that does sound like me. I'm sure I definitely consulted with some people, okay. Right? So one thing I talk about a lot is social listening. And I was talking to people in HR, and I'm like, what are your hiring needs? What are your hiring gaps? And because of that, I was privy to conversation. I don't recall working with a business coach at that time, but I knew. So kind of going back to what I said earlier, understanding historical data and trends, identifying gaps. That's the biggest thing an entrepreneur and a marketer should be doing. And from my conversations, I was identifying gaps. But this required a new level of focus, right? Because I was no longer doing stuff for a couple of $1,000s. This is like, okay, you're going to hire me, and it's nothing less than $30,000, right?
Right.
But I had to focus.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to let go of some things. But at the same time, I planned, I saved, I had a little bit of runway. Of course, no one could predict the pandemic. But, you know I made the right decision. And I had to learn, I make the right decision with the information that's given to me at that time. And that's what I have to trust.
Great information.
If I can add just real quick
go
to
ahead.
that, Michelle. So I met Michelle 2020 or end of 2019?
Yes.
Is it 2020? 2021, sorry.
Yeah.
We went through Leadership Houston program. So
Oh, okay.
We're both in the Leadership Houston program.
Yeah, I'm a part of the best class ever, by the
There
way.
you go. Okay, so I don't remember you in our class, but
Class 27 is definitely the best class ever.
Well, after going through class 39 and taking the role of best class ever, I understand why you would say that. I watched Michelle when I first met her. She was going through that transition. And the landmark events that happened to her during our program were amazing. They brought you to tears because you knew she worked hard for it. Mm-hmm. You knew it was true to her. And to see that level of success, it's amazing. So congratulations on the work that you've done thus far, Michelle.
Awesome, man. That's an awesome testimony. So, Daniel, biggest landmine that you...
I think in my business, it's the ever-changing environment in IT. It's always changing. And meeting the needs of the clients is something that takes us to task every day. Mm-hmm. Whether it's new technology that they're looking for or old technology that they wish existed, and can we make it exist? That's the biggest challenge. So then we have to hire for that, right? We have to hire individuals who have that expertise, but at the end of the day also have a customer service mindset. And, at our firm, we like to say we're a customer service organization that just happens to specialize in IT, right? And I am where I am because of the techs, my employees that I have. So hiring intelligently, that one can be a landmine. Sometimes you think you got a good one, and boy, they pop off, and you're like, wow, that was wrong.
Right, yeah.
So that's probably my biggest one.
So the event that you guys will be speaking at, your workshops, is going to be on October the 14th. What's the time frame?
That's going to be from 10 to 4.
10 to 4 p.m. on October the 14th at the Missouri City Community Center, 1522 Texas Parkway. And so we're looking forward to, of course, you shared a lot of valuable nuggets and information with our RTJs on today, but we want to encourage all of you to get out to that workshop, to get this valuable information. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to be there like yesterday. And thank you so much. Give everybody, if you have a website, Michelle, how can people find out more about you?
Yes, MichelleGomez.com. So that's Michelle, MichelleNGOME.com.
Okay, and Dan.
And www.nieto.com. Nieto.com.
All right, so thank you so much, Daniel Sines, Michelle Gomez, for joining us on Real Talk Junkies on the day. And of course, you always can check me out and engage with your boy, yours truly, Jeffrey L. Boney, at jeffreylboney.com. Again, that's jeffreylboney.com. Pick up the new book, Don't Argue With Me, a no-nonsense approach to the issues in the African-American community. And also, make sure you go check out the Forward Times at forwardtimes.com to check out the latest news. Of course, man, always encourage you to check out Real Talk Junkies every week. And, man, we'll be coming at you real soon with another hot topic and great guests. See you soon. Let's go.